It's past 7:15 PM. This is the Littleton Zoning Board of Appeals. It's Thursday, October 20th, 2016. We're in the Littleton Town Offices, room 103 at 37 Shattuck Street, Littleton. We have 4 members, which constitutes a quorum if anyone is here tonight. Before us, you're going to need a 4 out of 4 vote for a variance or a special permit. There may be another 1 or 2 that come in after the fact. We have 2 alternates who haven't shown up yet. One of our alternates is out tonight, so I know we only have 2 chances to get another member. First hearing is not scheduled until 7:30, so we'll take things in order. Anybody have minutes that aren't done yet, or are we up to date on the minutes? I kind of think we're up to date. There weren't in my packet.
This is stuff from last week that I brought saved because she doesn't like to reprint, but she did this time, so.
And the, I don't think there's minutes, I think we did them. Actually, there might have been one set that we wanted to hold because you,
I don't have any minutes here. This was stapled into my
no, I think we did that one.
old, like a 30-year-old.
I think there might be one set of
decision.
minutes that either you chaired or you were very involved in, so I didn't want to vote it until you came in, and then last week, I think,
Was it part of the?
we were done with
part of
minutes and the
that?
hearings had started when you came in. But I don't have it with me tonight. Accounts payable, I've just signed the one item that's in here for an account payable. And I don't see any correspondence in the file. Does anybody have anything they want to raise or discuss? Anybody
You
know?
mentioned alternates. How's it going with adding the replacement?
I haven't heard from the selectmen. I know they put out a bid seeking alternates, and I've mentioned it to a couple of people who showed interest and told them to write letters. I know that one person did, so I suspect the selectmen haven't
Yeah,
made a decision yet or had the hearings yet for alternates.
yes, because it's been a while now.
Glad you're here, Mark. I was worried about
Well,
having enough
People are
voters.
quaking in their boots, 4 out of 4
I said I'd be
required.
here. I said I'd be here. Just a little late, had a couple of other meetings to attend to.
That's all right.
Trying to
Glad-
hire a new track coach, so,
Glad you made it.
not to take my place.
I saw you out there warming them up.
Oh, yeah. Keep them in shape. Get them good and tired so they can't get in trouble.
Do you want to give us a report on how they're doing so we can kill a little time here?
You can't start the meeting till 7:30.
The girls are undefeated. Thanks to a ruling in our favor, if you read today's paper,
Yeah,
they're
there was some,
Yes.
you guys challenged
in the typical non-controversial world of track and cross-country, we have filed a protest. One of our lead runners got lost on the trail. And the course is supposed to be marked where you wouldn't get lost. So someone gets lost, it's kind of prima facie that it wasn't marked properly. And just knowing the course, I actually wasn't there because I was at a funeral. But anyway, we filed a protest and they found in our favor. We offered to do the meet over again, just have another meet, but they didn't want to. So I'd much prefer to win on the course than in the rule book, but,
Interesting.
so that's an
Good
update
for you
on
for
the
sticking up for you.
paper. Yeah, well, yeah. Well, it's been an ongoing problem with a lot of the schools. They just don't mark the course properly, which gives them a competitive advantage because their kids know the course and we don't. So, and the guys are 6-1. However, we just found out today that my lead runner has a foot injury and doesn't know if he's going to be able to run in the championship meet, but we'll worry about that then. Good group of kids, though.
Anything on Alan Bell's tab?
No, I don't know. He's in Rhode Island. I imagine the services and all the activities will be there. And we are expressing sympathy for his loss and Mark for your loss. You had a loss recently too, and our condolences to you too.
Thank you.
We had in the past some rules about attendance and missing 4 meetings in a row without explanation or excuse. Fortunately, we've never really had to invoke that, and the one time that we had a little situation going here, it was an elderly member who had medical excuses. I don't know if I think maybe we should have our administrative assistant reach out and see if the alternate who hasn't come in several weeks is still interested in being an alternate, especially now since the town is looking for new alternates. So we should know whether we have a position to fill.
We're having trouble finding alternates. Perhaps this isn't the best time to kick an alternate out.
No, I know that, and that was not my intention. I said whether she's still interested in being in, because it's been several meetings now. Most of them with an excuse, though, so maybe she's just had some issues. Anybody else have anything?
Soccer season's going well.
Well, talk about that.
Don't know the scores or how they're doing. I haven't paid that much attention, I'm sorry.
Is there a new shack, or there's plans for a new shack on the plans for the alumni field improvements?
Soccer has very little to do with Alumni Field other than the high school. The Littleton Youth Soccer does very little on Alumni Field or right at the moment with the track being rebuilt. How's the track going?
Yeah, they just finished striping it today, or the day before. The track looks gorgeous.
What did they have to do to it?
Well, unfortunately, when it was first installed back in 2013-14, within a year, the track surface started cracking. And it just, the installer kind of put us off, saying, well, that's natural. And so right from day one, I was saying, no, there's something wrong here. Anyway, it took 3-4 years for them to admit it, but there was a bad batch of epoxy supplied by California Products. So after some negotiating, Cape and Island and California Products agreed that, okay, yeah, our fault, we're going to give you a new track.
Nice.
So they didn't replace the asphalt base, which was fine, but they replaced the track surface. So that's
great.
it's got to be a $100,000 warranty claim. What's nice about it is now the clock, as far as the actual track life, now the clock starts over. So, as opposed to having a 4-year-old track, we essentially have a brand-new track.
That's nice.
So our littles on soccer play in the middle of the track field, and we'll be glad to be able to do that again on Saturday mornings.
Okay, as long as they take their cleats off when they cross the track.
They put down a little thing for them
Yes,
to
they do.
walk across it. It's okay.
Trying to protect our investment.
Don't they have soft cleats?
No, they don't, but they always put a little thing down for them to walk across.
And what about down Kerper? Is there a shack down there? There's a snack shack down there,
There
right?
is a shack down there, and I have the dubious honor of being the snack shack queen, which means I get to go buy the supplies and wash the hot dog machine every month,
Only every month?
Only every month,
or every
okay?
week, excuse me, every week. No, I take it home and wash it every week. It all comes apart, it all goes in the dishwasher, which is a wonderful thing. And then, other than that, it's pretty easy. I get to be there by 8 o'clock to open it up.
So does this mean you're gonna be keeper of the hot dog machine forever now?
No. My son is, my youngest is still playing, so we're still on the soccer board and still involved, but, I'm aging out. And if anyone would like my title, it is up for grabs.
We just have a tremendous amount of volunteers rushing to step in and take over.
Actually, it's
I
such-
notice.
It's such a worthy thing to do. The soccer club nets about 1,300 season on it, and that goes directly into keeping costs down, paying young referees, doing, the field maintenance. It does, that's one of the reasons that soccer is one of the cheapest sports in town to play, because that's a really wonderful thing. Anyway, are we,
Speaking of snooze fests, Rod, I hope nobody at home is watching this, because we're going to put them to sleep.
Oh, yeah, I know.
What are we gonna do when the daylight savings time is already?
It's roll upon
Oh,
us,
it's
yeah.
wrong?
Yeah, that's gonna be sad.
mine's
I
dead.
hate driving home in the dark.
It's 7:28.
7:28, we're almost there.
Do, 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 do.
Can I buy a bottle?
All right,
No, that's Jeopardy.
I am
Wheel
going
of Fortune's
to,
different.
Oh, okay. Shows you how much I watch.
Well, those shows have been around for 50 years, seems like. Oh, it must be 7:30 because our agenda is up.
my clock says 7:30, I'm going to go by it.
See there, our agenda's up.
Oh, good. Thank you. It's 7:30 PM. I'm going to open the continued hearing of case number 875, petitioner Donna Morris, request for a special permit or variance pursuant to section 173-10B1, non-conforming uses and structures, and 173-31, intensity of use for a proposed reconstruction of a two-bedroom dwelling at 3 Lincoln Drive. Mr. Doucette, you presented last month, and you, I see, have more things to show us today, and proceed.
Yes, good evening. I'd first like to start out by letting the board know that at the last meeting, I stated that I was not informed that building plans were required, but I was told that by Shelley. So I just want to let the board know that Shelley did do a job, and I want to publicly apologize to Shelley for
Thank you.
not adhering to the email and not remembering that I had received it.
Thank you.
That being said, the building plans were the ones that was the one requirement that the board at that time said they wanted to see. We've since submitted building plans that show a cape with a full dormer. I think it's a pretty modest building. It's going to be just 1,800 square feet. It's a two-bedroom. If you look at the floor plan, there's no tricky business upstairs where it's clearly two bedrooms. There's no third
Office.
accessory room or office. There is an office on the first floor, but it's still a Cape-style house, and that room, I believe, is only 96 square feet, so I think it's something that I hope the board would like, because it's not going to be a large building, and it might be something that we could get a young couple into, rather than some of these large buildings that are going up and are pricing a lot of people out of Littleton. The elevation on the first plan may be a little bit, not as it will be, it shows the soil covering half the foundation with a drive-under garage, and that may be a little bit higher because of the low groundwater, or the high groundwater, and the garage is going to enter from the street, so it's not like there's going to be no driveway leading down to it, so. The total height, though, is still only 29 feet from grade.
To the ridge of the
Yes,
roof.
from the garage slab to the roof, it's about 29 feet.
That's not an only, that's quite tall.
Okay.
but
I've been
the
dealing with
zoning.
some, I mean, it's only 6 feet, I've been dealing with 35s and 37s at,
And
you
it's
know,
within the
Our
zoning
zoning's
boundary.
32,
yeah, okay.
so you're not far off from the
Probably, yeah,
maximum,
yeah.
quite frankly.
Right, and
So why is the foundation so high?
because it's groundwater. You're not gonna be able
And
to drain it, or.
They're trying to get a
yeah,
garage under, because otherwise
Yeah.
they don't have a place for a garage.
Yeah,
But the septic system's going in the back.
Mm-hmm.
So you're bringing in all kinds of fill all around it? All around the house?
yes, we haven't finished the grading plan, but it's up to the contractor. I've shown a minimum grading plan on the septic system, which covers for the septic system. I haven't told them what to do in front, but they have a couple options. They can bring in fill and kind of wrap it around and make it look like it's filled, or they can bring the shingles and the siding down lower on the grade.
The problem with this kind of putting this kind of dwelling with a garage under where you're putting it and how you're putting it is it creates a mountain, so to speak, in the middle of a neighborhood of valleys.
Right.
And you already have people worried about water runoff, where it's going, how it's going. You're putting a large roof right next to 10 feet from a sidewall. I guess I'm having trouble with why you would bring the foundation up that much and raise the whole structure that much. The groundwater is not, I'm sure, ground level,
No, it's 2 feet.
2 feet.
Yeah, 2 feet below grade.
But you're putting the basement floor on ground level. You're creating a mountain in valleys, and that's
Close.
what last meeting the people were really quite concerned about.
Okay. So that's one, if you want to talk to the drainage, if that's the concern that the abutters were concerned about. We originally had a drain that was out back that we were going to use to take care of the surface water. The neighbors since that time have said we're cutting off the pipe and not allowing us to connect to it. So what we're going to do, and we've been talking with Jim Clyde, is we're going to put a catch basin in the front of the house and run it down, the stormwater down the street into a catch basin. There's a few details to work out with that as far as who's going to own the pipe. But that's the plan right now, and that will be able to accept the stormwater surface runoff, it'll be able to accept the roof drains, and we'll be able to tie a sump pump into it as well. So it's almost a blessing that they cut us off from the pipe, because I feel the catch basin will be able to handle all of the water.
Would you also address their other concern last time they were here was the shed, what's going on with the shed in the back?
I don't know quite how to put this, because it doesn't seem very friendly to me, and I don't want to paint anyone in a bad picture, but basically, we did realize they had a survey done, and I haven't seen the results of it, but they have confirmed in emails, the resident back there confirmed that the shed appears to be over the line, so, but I know it's over the line. The shed and the fence are on this property. So they're in negotiations to try and get that to, on how that's going to be taken care of.
And did you have your septic design approved in the meantime?
I had my variances approved. I have not heard from Jim Gariffi yet. I've emailed him a couple of times. I got to,
But the board
Yeah.
has approved your variances?
yes.
Yeah, what's the variance that is in the rear there? Is it slope or is it?
Offset to groundwater,
Offset to
to
groundwater.
try to lower everything, yeah.
Your side setback just barely makes it on the left-hand side, which is where you're showing a very high grade level from the road. How do you plan to, the neighbor was very concerned about staring at a concrete wall. How do you plan to address that?
Which plan are you looking at?
I'm looking at this and this.
Right. That grading is conceptual. It's, this was not designed for this actual property, so it's just a conceptual to show how the grading could look. I would say that the grading in front of the house could be just as that, almost that high, and then, but as a side, it would drop off on the side, so that it's not a wall all the way out to the front.
If it comes up 6, 8 feet, and then it has to go down 15 feet to get, in 15 feet, it has to drop 6 or 8 feet, you're gonna have quite a nasty slope there, or you're going to have to put a large retaining wall.
There is a retaining wall proposed, as shown on the septic plan, that comes down about halfway along the house, and it's no higher than 4 feet.
On the left-hand side?
Yes, as you're
But
facing the house.
that's in the
yeah.
backyard as part of the septic system.
It is actually not part of the septic system. I kind of shot myself in the foot by trying to be upfront. I really, yeah. So the septic system does not require a retaining wall to hold the fill. But I assumed as soon as I got out there, and if I had a septic system approved without the fill, without the wall, and then I went out there and started putting one up, I would have problems during construction. So I wanted to be upfront and say, here, we're putting in a wall because we want to level off the driveway. But I've shown on previous plans that it's not required as far as the septic system. So I'm just trying to get all the problems out in the beginning.
So is the wall front to back, or the wall stops halfway, or what?
Right now, it's shown as stopping halfway. I have,
So it stays in the backyard.
it runs all across the back property line and then runs about halfway down the foundation.
Why?
That's to raise the grade up.
One of the great, so you can see the wall
Yeah, it's to raise the grade up.
running from here all the way around. And what the owner said to me, literally, he wants to get the people to put a swing set in there. If we didn't have the wall from this area on, it would slope down. And,
Level yard.
yeah.
What have we
so-
got for elevations? You're starting at a,
Well, I'm showing 97 right now, which is very close to existing grade, and a swale to direct it down to this catch basin.
99, 98, 97, it's gonna come this way.
Yeah.
And your top of the septic system is gonna be about 100?
Yeah,
So it's only
100.36,
3
yeah.
feet from
Yeah.
the existing grade to the top.
That's not terrible.
No.
But this picture is terrible, considering that this is all flat here,
Well, you did-
and the neighbor's yard is flat here. So if this is the neighbor's yard, coming right in here, flat, and you suddenly have this big grade up,
It's essentially gonna be a story. The
Above.
basement is gonna be,
the first story.
but I mean, the basement's gonna be, I can't imagine piling dirt against the foundation like that drawing is. That was done for a different site.
So basically, we're ending up with
A two-story house.
a three-story.
Yeah. Well, 2.5,
cape-
it's not
it's
3
a cape
stories.
roof.
Yeah.
It's a cape roof
But the
with a
basement
window
level is
dormers.
a story. It's starting on ground level.
Yes.
And then there's,
There's what was traditionally considered a half-story is the second floor.
But it's, the height is about the same as the first and the basement, so essentially it's a three-story.
the height is a three-story, it just, the
Yeah.
front slopes down, so
Yeah.
sometimes it's called half a story. I'm not sure why, because it's still right up there.
The
It's
back is
still,
3 stories, the front's 2.5.
so, I mean.
No, the back will appear to be a story and a half. The front will appear to be 2.5 stories.
We're pushing right up against the town's height maximum on a teeny tiny lot in a very tight neighborhood, and I just am having trouble with it. I really am. There's another one that they did this to in the area, and I would be objecting if I was the neighbor. They're not here.
They're not here.
They were here for the first meeting,
Yeah,
they knew
they're-
about this meeting, they were at the Board of Health meeting.
Not here, they
and
came to
they're
the
not
Board of
here.
Health meeting. And they haven't written any letters, and I did receive word that the attorney that was hired is not proceeding, so they're not here. I'm also optimistic that they have to get along because they have to work out the shed problem, at least with the neighbor in the rear.
If any consolation, the house to the right is a two-story house. This house in question looks to be the lowest part of the road. The house to the right is a two-story
There's
ordeal, and the one to the left is a split entry.
And I'm kicking
like
myself, the
it.
chair recommended I would take pictures, there's a house across the street precisely like this.
What-
Yeah, I didn't take
what-
pictures
Yeah, I
across
know,
the
but,
street.
And
uh,
it
I mean, you
sticks
can
out
look
like a
at,
sore
well-
thumb. I guess if all the houses are replaced with houses like this, they'll all blend together.
It's unfortunate, if the neighbors, when they happen to go, their septic system's probably gonna fail because it's probably in groundwater, and they're gonna run up into the same boat. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but I mean, even further down the street, they're doing the same thing where they have to build up.
I'm not objecting to the fact that the septic system has to be replaced.
Right.
It's coming up 3 feet. I'm objecting to the fact that the top of the basement is 8 feet in the air. That's what I'm objecting to.
Let's go-
understand,
Let's go
and-
back to whether we're doing this as a special permit or a variance, because we can have arguments about that when we get to the discussion. Let's get the thing presented, let's have the board ask their questions and get them answered. I think most of that's done, let's see if there's a butters.
You aren't, you're building this building more or less within the outline of the existing building. So you're not creating an additional nonconformity.
Correct. We're increasing the nonconformity, because from what I understand, there's more building height that is gonna be,
But you're not,
It is currently 10 foot from the right sideline. The existing structure, you have an existing conditions
yes,
plan?
yes.
Can I just see that so we can tick off tick off the dimensional?
he has a thing.
You should have been one.
Okay.
Did you,
So
9.7, so he's increasing the setback, he's not going into this. The left side yard, he's actually making it conforming.
Yep.
And the front is
yard
further back than.
Is further back.
Yeah.
So he's
So,
increasing the
so we're doing this
nonconformity
as a
with height.
special, so this
Right,
is a
but
special
that's-
permit.
that's what I understand, is because it's more of a wall within or outside the setback, or within the setback, it's increasing the
Right,
conformity.
But
But we do it as a
we
special
do that
permit.
as a special permit.
Yeah, so now we have to go to the special permit, Rose. And the special permit says, I think it's 36. Sorry. 17310,
10B.
yeah, 10B. Okay, and we just had this modified. Do you have the newest version? Non-conforming uses and structures for 10B1? I don't have the newest version, do you?
I think this is it.
Thank you. It's 1995, here's 2015. Any use or structure not conforming to this chapter may be continued if it was lawfully existing at the time
It's a
it became
use,
any use or structure.
yeah. Okay.
Alteration of non-conforming structures with respect to an existing non-conformity. We may, by special permit, allow reconstruction, extension, alteration, or change that extends or increases the nonconformity where it determines that the proposed modification will not be substantially more detrimental than the existing nonconforming structure to the neighborhood. And it's not a new nonconformity because it's the existing nonconformity. So it's 10B1, it's not a variance, it's a special permit. The rules for special permits is that they are more liberally granted than variances. They don't have to show hardship, and they don't have to show anything owing to conditions of soil, shape, or topography. What we have to determine is whether or not an increase in the height is more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing nonconformity, and further, that it's not detrimental to the neighborhood.
What is the definition of detrimental?
It's our judgment.
It's our judgment.
Okay.
And your neighbors usually come in and tell us whether it's detrimental or not.
Right.
And what I heard last time we were here is that they were worried about the drainage, and it sounds to me like you've done a great deal to solve the drainage. And I heard that there was a neighbor in the rear that was alleging that you were going to move her shed without her consent, and that seems like you
No,
need
that the
to,
existing shed was over
was
on
over the
her
property
line.
line, and that you needed to move it to do what you needed to do.
And she was wanting the septic system kept forward and move the house forward.
And some trees,
And some trees
but
left.
the
and-
trees were on your lot.
Right,
Right.
right, they're on this lot. So you can't dictate that, well, fortunately or unfortunately, you can't dictate that. But they were expressing dismay with this kind of building. I don't know, they're not here today. So,
I'd also like to, I don't know if you want to close the hearing and reserve it for our discussion, but I'd also like to state that I, for one, am pleased that this homeowner has a very expensive septic replacement going on. It would be economically wasteful, I think, to replace a septic system in the existing house in its current condition, and it makes sense to improve the house and improve the neighborhood and the whole lot for themselves or for resale. So I'm pleased that you didn't propose a big, oversized colonial with the full second story. I have a head shaker. Are you in the neighborhood and are you in a butter?
No, I like
Okay,
what you're saying. I
okay.
came from a town that they
Okay.
mansionized everything, and it's a nightmare.
Okay, I'm sorry. And I forgot to ask, do we have any abutters to this petition that would like to speak? Okay, any more of the board have any questions? Because maybe we should then close the hearing and just discuss it. Okay.
Can I make
You
one
wanna say
clarification? I
anything
just
further?
remember from the last meeting, I think Cheryl just said that the neighbors were against the building of this nature, and I think they were more of, I remember them saying they know the building has to go in there, they just want to protect their concerns, which were drainage. I don't remember an objection to
there was
any type of
objections to
building.
the stone wall. There was
Right.
objections to McMansionizing. There was discussion about that.
Right, but the-
And that's what we're talking about.
Yeah,
I'm correct in what I'm saying.
okay, thank you.
Okay, I will take a motion to close the hearing.
I so move.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded to close the hearing. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Let's see where I am on the agenda before we decide what to do next. It's 7:30, 7:50. We got a few minutes. Let's discuss it for a few minutes. The next hearing is at, oh, no. Yeah, the next hearing is also a 7:30 continuance. If you give me another 4 or 5 minutes to discuss this. Thank you. Okay. Board, what's your pleasure, Rod?
Well, next, near me, there was, the property, it was a piece of crap property, it was a ranch. That was torn down, the new house was built, it was a two-story, and you actually drive up into the driveway, up into the garage. And basically, it doesn't look bad in the neighborhood. Now, the cape behind it, I was talking to the guy once, he says now they don't see sky, they'll see the gray of the house or something, so it blocks his view a little bit. But in the neighborhood, it looks okay, looks fine.
So you're okay with this?
Yeah, I mean, because it's raised and it's tall, so.
Thank you. Jeff?
This is totally consistent with other projects we've approved in this neighborhood. And whether we like it or not, it's allowed by zoning. And I think it is a little confusing that it's essentially a basement sticking out of the ground, but it's still within the height restriction, and so.
Thank you. Cheryl?
I don't see congratulations or kudos being offered on keeping it small. It's as big as a house as you can possibly get there. You're within, as tight to the septic system and as tight to the property lines as they can possibly get. They're pushing against the limit for the town zoning on height. It is, but as Jeff says, it fits within the current zoning height restrictions. I think that houses that I don't understand how it's going to look. I think people are going to be looking at big cement walls, and I think the neighbors will be distressed about it. Because either you bring the dirt way up around, and then it's going to be causing problems with drainage, or you leave the cement wall sticking way out, and that's.
Well, this is the classic situation of what you guys call split entries. It's just like a split entry ranch. And
No, because you go up a whole.
I know, but I'm saying that if you, it's just the same kind of massing as a split entry.
They're a lot shorter.
Well, no, they're a basement, the basement is on the ground, and then they have a story, and then they have.
And a story and a
Yeah,
half.
so they're gonna have to landscape it, or maybe create a full, frame wall. I doubt, I hope they don't pour an 8-foot wall around the whole thing, because then they are gonna have an issue.
I mean, if you look at the house across the street, they had to bring that, because of the septic system, they had to bring the front yard up that high. The septic system is actually out, I believe, in the front.
front.
And that's what's causing that house to be raised so high. And that, to me, made sense. This doesn't, I mean, I object to this. I'm going to agree to it. But I think that we need to maybe even look at other things in the future and try to figure this out in the future, because an 8-foot concrete wall sticking up out of the ground, if it's not, if you're bringing a septic system around it and raising the ground and putting a retaining wall, that's a totally different ball game of fish to me than artificially raising a thing to get it basically another story.
I don't see it, and I hope that they don't build it that way.
Well,
I
it's
mean,
the way it's drawn.
It's just like, yeah, but they crossed out some other address and put this address on it. This is the same, it's just.
They're gonna
re-
have a drive-in
It's just
garage
a
under-
reverse walkout basement, except it's gonna be in the front instead of the back.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way it should go.
And, if they put windows down there, then they've gotten a lot more space they can finish at a later date. It bothers me.
Okay.
Either you have an 8-foot wall there, or there's 2 first stories kind of thing. It doesn't make sense to me, but it is allowed under our zoning. They're within the minimums. They're not increasing the setback. I think, I'm sad to see this happen this way, but there we go.
Mark?
That is the smallest house in that whole neighborhood. In fact, it's smaller than some of the garages in the
Currently?
neighborhood. Currently.
Yeah, it is.
So while the new structure is going to be substantially taller, at least the footprint is the same. The house to the right of it is already 2 stories. The house to the left is split entry, so it's a story and a half. And I tend to agree that, it wouldn't be worth upgrading the septic system and maintain the same house. It's not, it doesn't make economic sense. So I think, it doesn't substantially detract from the neighborhood, and it makes economic sense, so, I would support it.
Yeah, my only problem is not with the house itself.
Yeah, the wall, well-
From here up, it is a house that makes a lot of sense. It's just picking up the whole foundation and putting it on the ground level so that you have a drive-in garage and you have more finishable space, I assume.
Well, I think we've argued before that you need a garage if you're gonna live in Littleton. So, you know, it'd be
And
nice to
it's-
say, okay, hey, skip the garage, just build it on grade,
Cheryl,
but,
you know, the field projects were all like this. They just did it more artfully. So there's no
Yeah, it doesn't mean I like
difference. Pardon? I know, but I'm just
Okay,
saying.
so we have,
Okay.
we have a full night tonight. We've said everything I think that needs saying. Can I get a motion?
You looking at me?
Yeah.
Okay, I move we approve the plans as submitted and
Move to grant a special permit.
a special permit for the plans as submitted, where the setbacks are as outlined in the, this letter. Front yard of 20.4 feet, right side 10.2 feet, and left side 15.8 feet approximately.
And I just realized I did not read the building inspector's letter into the record this week, but I did last week, and it's the same letter. So I'll just make that note. Okay, I'll take a second to that motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No.
All right, thank you for your time and your candor. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Okay, the next thing on my agenda is continued hearing of case number 877A, the petitioner Jim Finney's request for a variance pursuant to section 17335C3, sign areas for an attached sign at One Distribution Center Circle. Mr. Finney, our apologies to you. I understand for the benefit of the rest of the board, that our administrative assistant notified you of the wrong date, so it wasn't your fault that you missed the
Oh, here I
last
was
hearing.
thinking, here's our no-show.
And the
I
way
should have
we-
figured it out, because it would be odd to have this meeting on a Friday night, but I looked at the
You don't
email.
know us.
I looked at the email real quickly, and I said the 16th, so.
Yeah. No problem. I continued it for the reason that I figured there had to be some slip-up somewhere, and we're going to give you the benefit of the doubt. Okay, the way we do this is you present informally, the board gets to ask questions. We'll ask abutters if they have any questions. I think I have a comment from the building inspector, which we'll read into the record and go from there.
Good, great. Well, good evening. Thank you for having this hearing here. My name is Jim Finney. I'm with Colonial Systems. We are a new tenant in One Distribution Center Circle. We are a furniture installation company, and we are in the space that was formerly occupied by Verizon down at the Circle. We are here to request relief for a sign that exceeds the square footage allowed on the facade of the building. My understanding is that the sign or logo is to be no more than 15% of the exterior surface, or 50 square feet. We are looking at a sign that's 5'2" in height and 20 feet in length. So it's approximately double that amount. It's well under the 15% of the facade, but it does exceed the 50 square feet. Sure you folks are familiar with the building. It's a mammoth building down off of 2A. There's actually been another building, same size, built and is now occupied adjacent to that. And we are so most of our people come off of 2A, and they go down Distribution Drive, and they go straight down, and they come parallel, they come to our space, which is at the very end, parallel to the building, as opposed to coming in 3/4 of the way and taking the right on the Circle, so, and kind of seeing our space first. We're a labor resource to the construction industry, specifically furniture. We have a 150,000 square foot warehouse where we store people's furniture. We don't buy furniture, sell it. All we do is receive it on behalf of our customers, store it until it's ready to be installed, and then we ship it into primarily Boston, but probably 90% of our work is downtown Boston. But we do work up and down 128 and 495, some of the colleges. But that's the purpose of the warehouse. Obviously, all of that, all those materials come in on tractor trailers, and that's what we're seeking relief for.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Doesn't have anything to do with the sign, just curiosity. When you say your clients and you're storing furniture, you're storing other people's belongings between moves, or?
No, so we're installers of commercial office furniture.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah, so it's
makes more
it's all
sense.
parts and pieces, it's not furniture as you might think in a residence, it's all commercial office furniture.
How many other signs are on the front of that building?
There is, I believe there's 4 tenants in the building.
The testing company.
There's Curtis Strauss is the first one you see as you come in. Next to that is, I think it'll come to me. It's Accu something or other. Then is A1 Auto, and then is us. So right now, there's 3 signs on the front facade. We have a temporary sign up there.
So I've seen the temporary sign, and it's funny because I usually take a right and come where you're
Around the
first.
circles.
But that temporary sign, is it the size of the one you're proposing?
Actually,
or-
no, the temporary sign is
what you're
exactly
gonna-
50 square feet.
Oh, it is, okay.
Oh. I thought it was the one you were proposing when I drove by it.
No, the temporary sign is exactly 50 square feet. You would have to have seen the Verizon sign before it was pulled off, but if you look closely, you can see the outline of the former Verizon sign. I didn't do any research on it, so I don't know for a fact, but it seems to me that the Verizon sign certainly exceeded the 50 square feet. It's probably not quite as big as our sign, but you can still see the outline of it.
Your sign that's there now seems very visible, and you're not exactly trying to attract retail clients. So
Nope.
what
We're
is,
just-
He's got to have truck identification for
But
heavy
nonetheless, I
truck
mean-
operation.
the sign he has on there, the temporary sign he has on there now is extremely visible.
It really isn't until you come down the road and get closer to it. Once you're a little bit better than halfway, you can begin to see it, but prior to that, it's
So your
just a big
argument is if you're,
rectangle.
making a pickup or delivery, you would encounter the building, you don't see your sign. The bigger the sign is, the sooner they'll see it when they're driving down.
And they'll know exactly where to go. All the campus signage, the wayfinding signage, in addition to the sign that we want to put on the front of the building will solve our problems in terms of getting our truck drivers right to the receiving area where they're supposed to go.
How far
This
back?
picture, is that 50 square feet? Is that the temporary one, or is that a mock-up of the 100?
No, that shows the 100 square feet.
So how far back from the road is the building?
From
The road.
from the circle,
From this road, whatever's,
2A?
It's
Yeah.
right.
Oh,
This is where the sign would be.
I don't have that. It's probably, it's got to be a mile, maybe a little bit better.
okay.
Back over, that's the new building.
So,
It's like-
so you're a mile off 2A,
is
so you don't see this sign from
It's
2A
like-
at all.
No, this
You
is,
only
it's-
see it once you enter the
It's in an-
industrial
yeah,
park and
exactly.
distribution center. So no passers-by or residents are gonna see this sign.
no,
It's only
no.
the trucking companies and delivery people and the employees that go into distribution
yeah,
center.
unless you have business down in that area, you wouldn't even
You're
know
not
this
even gonna
building
see it.
exists. This is a picture of the temporary sign,
Yeah.
and, yeah, I'm gonna pass this around, but you can see,
I drove down there, I thought your temporary sign was a mock-up of your
you can
permanent
see
sign.
the
I thought it
remnants of
was-
the Verizon, see the big check
Yeah.
mark.
Yeah.
And that was, so that's that's what Verizon has versus our temporary sign.
And this one in the picture, if I just covered NIAL, to me, it's still, that's 50 by,
Yeah, so if you kind of look at the distance between the corner of the sign and
Yeah.
the diamond.
yeah.
So I see your point that the Verizon sign probably covered, it was disassociated, the check and everything, but it wasn't much smaller in length of what you're proposing.
By the time you added
It
in
was
the
it's kind of an odd logo, just because
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
check
the
makes it a
check,
really
yeah.
long sign. Their sign itself was as long as.
These are, by the way, these are great, these mock-ups are great for us.
Oh, great.
Yeah. because otherwise we wave our hands.
So I have a letter from the building inspector. Applicant seeks a variance to affix an attached sign to the face of their commercial space in excess of the restricted 50 square feet as noted in section 173-35C3. No further comment. Do I have any abutters interested in this application?
I have one more question.
And I have board member questions still.
Okay, so basically, it's just the lettering on the building, it's no background color,
No,
and it's just the one color.
correct.
Perfect.
Okay, I'll take a motion to close the hearing.
Move we close.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Rod?
Yeah, I think as long as this is proportional, this is the 100 square feet he's showing, and that's a big wall, it doesn't look too bad to me. And in a way, the letters are more pleasing than in the white background of the temporary sign.
Right, it just so happens that our colors kind of blend with the building.
Yeah.
Jeff?
Since this is a variance, the argument would be that, trucks coming from the other end of the building need a large sign to identify their destination. And so I buy that. And it's such a gigantic building. I mean.
It is huge.
Yeah. And we also have we approved an extra large sign for, up front. What's the name of the
Yeah,
building?
the one that's right faces the
Yeah,
street.
Potpourri,
that was, the
No, no,
argument
not
on that
Potpourri.
was,
The one on,
Curtis
the gas
Strauss.
company.
the argument on that one was the
Oh, I'm
the
sorry,
traffic.
FIBA.
Yeah,
FIBA.
FIBA Technology.
And the argument was similar there, and we went with it, so.
Cheryl?
I have no problem with it, it will be fine.
All right.
My only concern is, it seems like we get into my sign's bigger wars, where everyone wants to have a sign a little bit bigger than the other person's. But, quite frankly, not all of your sign is 5 feet tall, not all of your sign is 100 feet long, 20 feet long. It fits into the building, it's just letters on the building, so it doesn't have a big background that's going to blind somebody. It looks very tasteful and reasonable for the space you're putting it in.
Excellent, thank you.
Mark?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, the mass of the building, the location of the building, the need to let truck drivers know as far in advance where it is. Yeah, I think it's a reasonable sign to have.
There's so many interesting things going on back down in there.
That potpourri building is amazing to me.
Who wants to give me a motion, please?
I move that we grant Colonial Systems a variance for a sign on their building at Distribution Way that is 100 square feet as shown in their presentation. Is it actually 100 square feet?
It's 103, it's
Okay,
5'2" by 20 feet.
okay, as shown in their presentation.
Second?
I'll second.
Mark, I forgot to announce that you're the voting alternate.
Oh, okay, no, kind of figured it.
Since you're the only one.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
It's two down. Okay, I'm gonna call the hearing. 7:50 was the scheduled time, we're not doing too badly. Continued hearing of case number 878A, the petitioner Michelle McDevitt, request for a special permit or variance pursuant to 173-10B1, non-conforming uses and structures, and 173-31 intensity of use for a proposed reconstruction of a two-bedroom dwelling at 29 Lake Shore Drive. Good evening.
Good evening.
You're missing one.
Sorry, I forgot the entertainment.
Oh, not at all.
Unfortunately, the entertainment wasn't feeling so hot tonight, so she decided to keep her germs away from you.
I have to say, some of our viewers enjoyed it, too.
Looks like you've come up with a footprint that's very much right where the house is. Do you have a
Did you
plan
have-
yet? Do you have a
Well, the
design?
plan was the same design. Remember, the whole goal of this was to get, I need to hand this to an architect to say what they can build in. It's such a small lot. If they can't build in the front and I don't get this variance, I basically can't build. So we then still have to go to the permit and approve all the height and everything, and we're not trying to go over. We're not trying to build a McMansion. We're two people, house, retirement home, no McMansion. We do need a little bit more space. We want to go, we don't have a full first, second story right now. We want to make it a full, and that's that. Very simple.
Is there anything else you want to tell us before I start asking questions? I apologize.
Ask away. Does everybody have a picture? It seems like you all do.
We have
Okay.
this.
Okay, yeah.
How do you want to handle the cart and the and the horse thing?
First, what I'd like to do is identify the existing nonconformities. And then let you ask all the questions you want.
So the existing is just the front.
nonconformity is that the house sits back
10 feet.
or is more
that-
from the.
If you count the stairs, it's 10 feet. If you count the porch, it's 14.8. If you count the foundation, it's 19.2. I think before, we've always included the stairs.
Yeah, and we're on, is this picture of the new proposed dwelling?
Yes, size.
So the existing dwelling is at 18.
Yeah, we're trying, with the dwelling, we're trying to do maximum allowed billable. We'd still want our, porch. I don't think we're going to have the same stairs sticking out, so, because of the
You
way we're
you have
doing
a
it.
porch presently.
Yeah, the porch is there. It says it's
It's
marked.
14.8. So if you want to keep the
The porch
porch,
is-
then the setback would be, that you'd want would be the 14.8 setback.
And I seem to think you have the stairs already, too. Don't you have stairs
Yeah, I
coming
have.
off the
Yeah,
porch?
this is existing.
So what you're looking at here
So-
is missing the porch and the front stairs, so I don't know why that looks like that,
Well, because this was a plot plan and he didn't put the stairs on it,
or the porch.
or the porch. But so the question is, can you?
Wait,
can you
I'm
come
looking
up-
at this.
Yeah, they're looking
Yeah,
at the
I'm looking
original
at
thing
both
that
at
I
the same time.
submitted last meeting.
Okay.
Can you come off that porch with the stairs headed toward Forest Road instead of Lake Shore?
The stairs aren't going to be there.
Okay,
We just want the buildable. We would still like our porch, no stairs.
no stairs. Where are you going to exit the house?
We're going to exit in that little gully corner because that slab, see that slab's the maximal building area. Here, let me,
I see it, yeah, the slab behind here.
yeah.
So, well, you need to have a front door.
This is
Well,
little.
it doesn't have to be on Lake Shore.
No, but she needs to, they need to have at least 2 egresses.
Well, but
There'll be one back here and there'll be one in this, which is going to be sort of front
Oh, I
side
see.
door.
So you're
in that
gonna-
square area.
Oh, I see. And
So that's what we're,
Oh, one going off to the back, to the yard where the leach field is.
right in here, where I marked purple.
Okay,
So you're going to have porch but no stairs.
Yeah, the porch, because it will be sliding glass windows to
Now-
the porch.
Now, porch is looking pretty darn narrow right now.
Yeah, it is. Right now, it's still narrow. It's not, it's not. I
Why,
mean, there
while
might-
you're
porch.
here, don't you want porch to be usable?
We just want seats on the porch, that's it.
How wide?
can I just
don't-
identify the existing nonconformities, please? I have a front yard nonconformity.
That's the only
That
one.
you're saying is 14.8. I have a lot size nonconformity. The side yard is not increasing a nonconformity because you're still going to have 16.5 and we're at, the bylaw says 15, so that's not a nonconformity.
But how does the bylaw deal? I know Forest Road isn't really a road, but would it be considered,
The bylaw says if your house is on 2 roads, you
You
can
can pick which
extend, no, you can extend one of the dimensional variances, but that's irrelevant because she's not increasing the front nonconformity.
right?
She's not making any new nonconformities.
Correct.
So we're sitting here on a special permit, the same as the last hearing, and we just have to decide if replacing the existing house with another one is more detrimental to the neighborhood. And even if we start talking about height elevations on this one, you're sitting in the lowest spot. Your neighbors are all higher than you, and
By a long shot.
and
You're
then
not-
Bartholomew guy's way up and way behind
Right,
you.
and
So-
and in the
You're
slab
you're
area, we're
already
only
in the-
planning on doing a one-story there, so we don't block our view, because that's not our intention.
You're already the valley, you're surrounded by mountains, so giving you a little bit of a mountain isn't going to,
Yeah, I don't want to make
shouldn't
mansion.
hurt anyone. You're not blocked, you won't be, now, the people on Forest Road who treat Forest Road as their driveway, and have paved it as their driveway,
Doesn't look like that's gonna, this proposal is not gonna impact anything on Forest Road.
but you're not going to be suddenly blocking views of the lake or anything, because they're behind trees anyway, aren't they? They don't really have a view of the lake.
They have a view of the lake from the upstairs room, and I saw it on Facebook. People shouldn't post that. They took a sunset view, and I'm like, they don't even have that great of a view. I don't
Well,
have to worry
you're off to
about.
one side anyway.
Yeah,
if you
I
look-
am.
Yeah, 'cause you look at this
I mean, the
picture.
slab, there's going to be a little
Blocking
overlap,
the
but
view of
again,
the trees over
my
here,
my
not the
intention
lake.
is not to make that a full 2 stories, the slab. That's,
So Roland's comment on this one is that I'm not sure this board has settled on whether we agree with this or not, but Roland is saying, since these particular properties don't leave a wall standing, they demolish the whole thing, he wants to treat them as variances because you're actually building a whole new structure with the same nonconformities as the first structure. And this board has always treated things like this, even though it's a full demolition and rebuild, it's within the same footprint, we've always treated it as a special permit. So I don't care how the board feels it wants to vote this one, special permit or a variance, but we should,
Let's do it as a variance, because it certainly fits the need and the
requirements.
hardship requirements, and it's squeaky clean, and no one can argue with it if we do it as a variance instead of a special permit.
I would
Okay.
appreciate that.
So we find, owing to the soil shape and topography and the limited size of the lot and the location of the septic system, there are few choices other than violating the front
Can
setback.
I ask one more question? Why is this maximum allowable building area?
Oh, that's what, based on all the stuff and permit and rules, I wanted to figure out, so I could hand it to my architect, what's the area I can build in. I really can go another 1.5 foot, but.
So
that-
you
that
have a
was-
15-foot back setback, then you have a setback from
Yep.
the existing septic tank.
Yep.
And that's why you have that notch.
And it's a slab there
Yeah.
because of that, exactly.
So-
All those reasons. I mean, I
It's
took
cheaper.
into consideration all the rules.
So listen to me briefly. Right now, technically, your front setback really is 10-1 because of the stairs. Your porch setback is an additional, is 14.8. I don't know how wide your porch is.
It says
If
it right
was
there,
a
4
foot
by
wide, if
16.
you're going to rebuild it, wouldn't you like to build it a foot wider?
No
No?
need to.
You're really okay with that? Okay.
Positive. Because if anything,
Because
I
this is,
just,
because because this is speak now or forever hold your peace kind of thing.
yeah, I understand that.
Are you
Okay.
And I'm
taking
not
down
trying
the
to-
whole structure and rebuilding the whole structure?
Yeah, except for the deck might not come down on the
Okay.
back.
Okay.
The postings, it might go to new deck top, but
Do we have any abutters to speak to this petition?
I just happen to live around the corner from her, so I'm fascinated by this, but, no, I don't really have an opinion.
Do you want to come up and see it?
I do. I was trying not to. I live in a tiny house,
Just
so I
identify
understand.
You live in a very
self-isolation.
tiny house.
Identify
My house
yourself for the
is,
record.
oh, my name is Sharon Tavilla, I'm at 30 Juniper.
Thank you.
And my house is 612 square feet, so I understand her.
So just, this
this is
is Lake
Dave's
Shore,
house, yeah.
you know where Alaroni used to live?
Yeah.
With the tomatoes? It's that house.
Yeah.
That white house. And so we're just trying to, we brought this in last time over a Google map to show, but they wanted the drawings to
Yeah,
have the
like
exact
that.
measurements because it was the only thing that was the 18 was correct to the corner point, but it was unclear in this hand-drawn map. So the same guy who did the hand draw now has electronics and he put it on.
Now, let me point something out to you very gently.
Yes.
We're going to approve this because you're basically not increasing any of the nonconformities.
Correct.
We're going to vote to approve this. You really might want to get a continuance from us, get your plan done, and see if there's any tweaks that you want to make, because once we approve these setbacks, that's what it is.
That's what we're gonna build in.
Okay.
That's the rules we're gonna give if I run into a thing that,
You're Michelle, right?
What?
You're Michelle?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
You sure you don't want to do those?
No, because if we do them, we can do it on this side, coming down, make the porch smaller and come up this way, you know, and
We
it
can
doesn't.
approve it
it's just-
substantially as shown, which will include the stairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
let's
yeah, if you
move to
approve it with the
close.
stairs, that's great, but I don't think I'm gonna use it, because I saw the houses that we're looking
I
at.
just
Mark, I'm going your
want you
way
to have a
this
little
time.
freedom.
Move to
Yep.
close the hearing?
I have lots of
I have a
freedom if I
couple
get the
motions to
space,
close
a lot
the
more
I do
than I
have a
had.
question
I
and a
can't go
comment,
anyplace.
though,
If
before
you're
you
going to
do.
question the applicant, I won't close the hearing yet.
Yeah, you don't have a dimension from this maximum build area to the lot line, is that 15 feet?
Yes, it is, and he
In the rear?
missed that. It
Yeah.
might be on, oh, he missed that one. Yeah, it's 15 feet.
Graphically, it looks like it's
Yeah,
15.
it's 15 feet.
Okay,
We missed that one, because I think he put the parking, because we were like, we're either gonna park on the side or this, depending on,
Good job getting the parking on.
yeah, it was
And-
tough.
and I was a little concerned last time about parking, and I see you have two parking areas.
Yeah, one there and one to
Yeah.
the side, so
Okay, I have a motion
We
to
like
close.
off-street
Can I
parking.
get a second on that motion?
we,
Oh, second.
Okay. Any discussion? Mark?
No, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I drove by and took a look at it, not really increasing the conformity as far as setbacks are concerned. It's gonna be a little taller, but I don't, in looking at it, that's not gonna block anybody's view, so I have no issue with it.
Anybody want to make a motion?
I just want
Yeah.
to be, explained to me why we're doing a variance instead of a special permit.
So Roland says, even though you're staying within the footprint and ordinarily it would be special permit to change, extend, or alter, since you're taking it down completely and building new, you're making a whole new variance. I don't know that we've ever handled them that way, but Roland thinks we ought to have a policy, and that's one of the things we're going to discuss
Okay.
going forward.
Well, we are increasing because the 14.8 feet to the porch versus 18 feet, and if you want to count the stairs, so we are.
Yeah, but that
making-
is not, don't even look at this.
That's
This is-
existing.
this- I mean, but this 18 is to the existing
Yeah,
corner.
no, I'm looking
Right,
at,
so it's-
right
it's
now,
gonna
it's
be
19.2, the porch takes us down to 14.8, so we're
Yeah.
increasing the
No,
non-conformity.
but that's there, the porch
Oh, the
is there.
porch is there.
The porch is there
It's
now.
already there at
Yeah.
14.8?
Yeah.
Oh,
And the
That's,
stairs
that's
are
why I'm
there.
arguing
Yeah.
with her, that
Yeah.
she should be pushing us to
yeah,
have a little bit more freedom with the 10. But
And-
but you are right, on the corner there, we are getting closer on the corner to the corner.
But it was
That's just
already
correct.
that way.
Yeah.
That isn't changing. Oh, I see what you're
You're
saying.
getting a
Just
little closer to
little
the
bit
corner,
there.
to the corner.
Yeah, a little bit
But,
there.
so we do need to make sure that we, doing
You
it
like
as
the
a variance, doing it as a variance, just, it seems that it's not a hard, I don't know.
Yeah, you got a
That's fine.
hardship. There's
I'm
no
just-
reason not to.
Just curious.
Okay. So, motion? Move to grant variance? Cheryl?
I move to grant a variance for 29 Lake Shore Drive to be built substantially to drawing of plot plan dated October 14th, 2016 by Russ Wilson and Associates.
Thank you. Second?
second.
All those in favor?
You know, when I drove by a month or so ago, I couldn't believe the leach field takes up almost like over half the lot.
Opposed?
It kind of really binds you in.
You're opposed, right? Okay. Unanimous. You're welcome.
Did you get your shirt out there?
Pardon?
Did you get your shirt out there? Was that the trials for the Beijing Olympics?
yeah.
What
this-
brought you out there?
Actually, my friend, roommate went there, was running it, so.
What event? I'm the track coach at the high school, so that's why.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, we'll have to talk sometime, because
Yeah.
it is running, was a passion of mine. I ran in college and everything, so
Okay.
it's a good
We're
thing.
always looking for assistant coaches if you,
I might take you up on that.
there you go. We actually interviewed a new head
that's-
coach today.
what?
We actually interviewed for a new boys head coach today. But we can always use more coaches.
Cool.
That's how I got involved.
I'll have to talk to you another
This
time.
is the
Thank
next
you,
one. This is
folks,
what we
I
just
appreciate
talked
your
about.
time,
welcome.
and, again,
Three of them are close
You
together.
can, you can
This is what
come
we just
back
talked
if
about, so it's close together.
the plans aren't quite what you want, but
I tried to capture.
I love
and
you
grab
all.
that.
let's keep it that way. I'm
Yeah,
happy with
they
what
are.
I got.
now I have to figure out whether I need to recuse myself and you need to
That's what
recuse
you set
yourself
up,
in
like
this next
junk
one.
it there.
Maybe not you.
Let's call it. It's it's after 8 o'clock, my apologies. I'm going to call case number 879A, petitioner Sharon Tavilla's request for a special permit or a variance pursuant to section 17310B, non-conforming uses and structures, and 17331, intensity views for a proposed deck at 30 Juniper Road.
Now,
about
I
your
was the listing broker when Sharon bought this house, how long ago?
It's been a little less than 2 years, right?
But it was also the existing owner that you bought it from is an ex-employee of mine who stopped working for me about 2 years before that.
Right, Hector.
Hector. So do I need to step down on this one?
I don't think so.
Absolutely not. You have no financial interest in the outcome of the case.
You already made your money off me.
Yeah, and it's more than a year, and you have made your statement. If anyone has any objection, they can ask Cheryl to recuse herself.
Okay. Go.
Okay, so what I'm trying to do, the existing porch is basically falling apart and rotten. So I'd like to replace it. And I'm going to use exactly where the same footings are. That's not going to change. The 3 out of the 4 footings need to be replaced, but they will be dug out by hand. We talked to the health gentleman, I forget his
Jim
name.
Gariffi.
Yes, and his concern was because this is a very tiny lot, and the whole backyard is the septic system. He didn't want equipment there. My builder came in, he already dug around the posts. He said, I'll hand dig them, that's not a problem. So it's already non-conforming because the lot is so narrow. I am not going to make the deck actually any bigger, except I want to cantilever out just a foot, give it 1 extra foot in front. My biggest issue is I want to put the stairs, rather than embedding them in the deck, and it takes out almost 20 square feet of the deck, I just want to put them off to the side, as shown, not to the short side where there's only 8 feet, but to the other side. So I'm looking at the house, it looks like it's to the left. I think I drew those there.
Yeah.
The ones on the right, are they existing?
No, the
was
ones
a-
that
that was a-
are shown inside the deck,
Is the what's
that's what's existing.
What's this crosshatch to the right?
I scribbled, that was just scribbling out. At first, I was going to put the stairs to the side, and then we realized it doesn't make any sense, it won't fit, et cetera.
So your existing deck is 8 foot from the right-hand side.
Yes.
And you
And
just
the
want,
new deck is going to be 8 foot from the right-hand
Yes.
side. And the cantilever is going to bring it to the rear, but the rear is already good 15, more than 15 feet.
so how
Yes.
much are you cantilevering? 2 feet? or
Just,
something?
no, just a foot, because we have to watch those 2 existing SDS tanks.
I see. And then you're going to put stairs to the left side that are going to come within 10 feet of the left side, but you already have a house that's 8.5.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
And I have, Shelley received emails from my 3 neighbors, the one on each side and the one in the back, okay? So I went and showed them all my plans and met with them all and asked them if any of them had any objections.
You want to
They
read
didn't.
them?
Yep, please. Want to read them into the record?
Okay, we have letters from abutters to 30 Juniper Road. We have, my name is Brendan Chanel. I am an abutter to Sharon Tavilla of 30 Juniper Road. My house is number 28. I have seen the plans for her proposed deck project, and I do not have any issue with them. I have no objections to the granting of this permit. We have another letter. Last evening, we spoke with my abutting neighbor Sharon Tavilla, 30 Juniper Road, who has applied for permit TB-12-284 and discussed her plans for replacing her deck. I am fully supportive of her design and have no concerns. I am always pleased when our neighbors work to improve the look, utility, and value of their homes. And that is from Dustin and Lynn Neild at 17 Lakeshore Drive. And then we have another letter. My husband, John Folsom, and I own the property at 21 Lakeshore Drive and 34 Juniper Road, Littleton, next to the property of Sharon Tavilla at 30 Juniper Road. We learned about her proposed deck plans and are in agreement that her improvements will be a great addition to her home and will not be a detriment in any way to the neighborhood. We will not be able to attend Thursday evening's meeting for her special permit request. However, we wanted to send this note of approval ahead of time. With thanks, Martha and John Folsom.
And the building inspector's comments. Mark, you want to read them?
I'm rapidly losing my voice.
Oh, okay.
How
Sure,
about
you wanna
I-
read them? Go ahead.
The applicant seeks a special permit to reconstruct a failing deck in the same location. However, they wish to relocate the stairs outside the deck parameter into the required setback. Reconstruction of a failing deck is allowed by section 173-10B5. Encroachment onto the setback by projections such as stairs are no longer allowed by right as an exception in the state building code as referenced in the definition of Littleton zoning's bylaws no longer exist. No further comment.
I still think we do this as a special permit, because as Rod says, she's not making any larger nonconformity, or you might have said that, the house is already there.
This is the teeny tiniest house on the teeny tiniest lot. It's very sweet. It's a lovely little house and a lovely little location, and boy, do you need that deck.
So I'll take a motion, no abutters present to speak to this application. You want to support your friend the way she supported you?
Do you want to look at her plans?
I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
Move to close the hearing.
Second, please.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. I'll take a motion.
I make a motion that we grant the special permit so- according to plans, according to, we approve the special permit
For
to
deck
rebuild,
replacement, yeah.
to rebuild the deck according to the plan drawn by Russ Wilson Associates dated June 27th, 2015, or substantially. Oh,
Good enough.
blah.
Good enough. Second that motion?
I'll second that.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None?
So we're basically just approving the stairs.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the increase in depth of the deck.
No, but
No, that's,
No,
that's.
that's-
Well,
Building-
you're right,
Well,
because
the
it
side, yeah.
extends the nonconformity. but-
Right.
Yeah, but,
But that's fine.
And if you look at the stairs, they stay within the profile of the building.
Right.
Right, they don't go past.
Yeah.
See, that, this
you
this
go.
makes sense to me.
Now, she told me to bring a check, but do I
I'll take
need,
it.
you'll take it, okay? I made it out to the wrong person, right? And do I have to go to her and get the permit, or?
They record it somebody will write it, I'll probably write it, they'll record it at the Registry of Deeds. And then you go to the building inspector for the permit. The building inspector can grant the special permit, can grant you a building permit on a special permit right away. It's-
I may actually wait till the spring at this
Yeah.
point, but yeah.
There is a 20-day appeal period, but on special permits, they don't make you wait. On variances, it's a good idea to wait, just in case you have an abutter who wants to appeal it.
And did you do my house sale from Air? Do you know my cousin Kirk Ware? Yes, you
Was
went-
your house
the one that.
on the
that,
water that's been taken down?
Oh, yeah, can you believe they
oh,
took that down?
my God.
You know
Brand.
who that is?
You-
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
I was in
awful.
your house.
My house was gorgeous, and
Yeah.
the poor builder called me up like almost hysterical, and now they're not gonna rebuild. Or not right now, they postponed the whole thing.
What a shame, yeah. what
It was a
shame.
disgrace,
Yeah.
just, think of all that material, Air. Think of that material.
I think they donated a lot to
I hope so.
Habitat. You know that, most of it went to reuse.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I'm
most of it,
glad.
feel better about it, because
That-
most of it went to
Because it made me
Habitat.
sick, it made
Yeah.
me sick.
Were you an antique?
No,
No?
no.
No, I
Let's
sold.
not do this on the record,
Yeah,
we can talk
yeah,
later.
sorry, I thought you were all.
No.
Oh, no, we're still being taped.
Yeah.
We're still being televised.
Thank you, though, for reminding me. I thought your name was familiar and couldn't remember how. Yeah. I think that's it. Does anybody want, oh, no. We do have discussion here that Roland asked us to talk about, and I'd like everybody to give it some thought for the next meeting. We will bring it up at the next meeting. it's an interesting concept, and it relates directly to everything that happened tonight, which is why I wanted these cases to come before us without an open discussion and having people lay out their sentiments and maybe even polarize before these two hearings. So now that we're done, before we have these come in again, Roland wants us to consider whether or not to propose to the planning board some sort of a density or height restriction or something that will speak to what we do on these small lots. And he has a couple of proposals that he's recommended. Are they in this?
No,
Yeah.
they're not.
He said,
He did not mention any particular.
he says, bulk. So he said, maybe you do a height restriction to lower than 32 feet, that's one possibility. Or maybe you limit the change, extension, or alteration or replacement of smaller houses with a footprint dimensional limitation, like it can't go more than 1.5 times what it already is. Or maybe you do it by bulk. And I guess bulk would go toward, what's the
It's a floor area
cubic
ratio.
floor?
No, bulk usually refers to living gross or living square footage, overall
I would
square
think we'd
footage.
want to do it with gross, because then we get the question of the basement that pushes the height.
Well, then, it's complicated because
It's very
there's all,
complicated.
what's the when you have topography involved, what's a basement, what's not a basement? You can go crazy, but the issue is, whenever these are instituted, you have to bear in mind that it somewhat restricts the value of people's existing property if they can no longer build what, the market right now means,
Well, any zoning does that.
yeah.
It really does. And
And I propose, I
Well,
guess that
I-
would be taken care of by, town meeting, this would have to be approved by town meeting and.
it's going to have to be approved by town meeting, and I don't think we should be reinventing the wheel. I think we should be really looking at what other towns have done.
I need to just stop you and remind you that we don't do it. We are simply going to decide as a board
As a
whether we
board.
recommend that the planning board does it.
What
Planning
is the
board will then
problem
look
he's
at
trying
the
to solve?
various bylaws and propose.
Building these camps up into 3-story houses.
What he's trying to avoid is that you get this tiny little lot and you get a 3-story structure
Yeah.
and it towers over the neighborhood and it consumes the whole lot and it looks out of place.
Did you,
Right, but
Rod,
this
have you,
board-
did you drive down Lincoln Drive?
Probably, yeah.
Sure.
Being someone who's about to build. 2 feet. Looking at the size, and if you have like a partial half garage, you'd be hard pressed to go to 3 feet with 32 feet unless you have very, very low ceilings.
3
Well,
stories.
32 feet is our bylaw
Yeah, that's what I'm
requirement.
saying, so I don't think
So
we have to
lower
worry
than that
about
is a problem, yeah.
3 feet, because, we were trying to, it's 3 stories, because we were trying to, do water level, the garage, and then
Right.
do 2 above, but we couldn't fit it in there.
Some communities
So-
say you can't expand the footprint at all. Acton has.
If each story is 10 feet, that's 30 feet. And having each story be 10 feet is really, you end up with a cape, not a colonial. You're looking at contemporaries, but 3 stories is quite tall. And many towns have existing zoning that's much lower than 32 feet already. It is a formula for the size of the lot. I understand where you're looking at with a contemporary and different designs that you may find that you can't put but 32 feet is quite a tall building.
I think what we should do is ask Roland to give us some examples so that we have them at the next meeting and we can see what are the options to look at and just talk about.
There
what
is
we'd
one
like
other,
seeing.
thing that hasn't been
The
discussed.
averages in the neighborhood and do it from that.
Well, another town that I work in set a square footage, and anything above that square footage you can build, but you have to go through the planning board. So, and then they have definitions about, and it sounds ridiculous, but this is Wells Lane, in this case was, if the house is over 5,900 square feet as defined by the bylaw, then, yeah, you can do it, maybe, but you have to go through the planning board and make your case.
The
Well, the
go-
reason
And put
why
the
I-
extra taxes on the people who build the McMansions. That's what they do in Lexington.
Well, yeah.
I'm all for that.
The reason I asked the question, what problem is he trying to solve? This board grants the variances or the special permits and take all these things into consideration.
Yeah, it's-
Where's
He
that not
points-
working?
He points out in his little letter, if you read it, it says that what happens is the building permit's issued, all of a sudden people are putting on their, the construction starts, all of a sudden they're building the roofs. The neighbors realize how tall it is, it's blocking their view, it's towering over them. All they're looking at now is the side of a house. Whereas, if you're 2.5, 3 stories, and you're 1 story, suddenly,
I know, it's the example
it's
I
a
just,
looming-
the
it's
example
looming
I
over
just
you.
mentioned. But my point is, this board right now takes these things into consideration.
No, the height, not always, though.
We
Well, we
do
try
if
to.
it sounds.
We try
if
to,
it's-
but we don't
we
get to
can't
have,
I mean, we don't have house
Yeah.
plans for this one.
and, I mean, we may or may not, but, and it, it's usually presented to us in a certain way, and whatever happen, if anything happens, it should be guiding people toward some desired thing, which to me seems more involved with height than anything.
As Rod points out too, though, the whole reason for zoning board of appeals is that it's another tool in the toolbox to grant relief to people who don't really fit into a
Right.
specific mold. And the more regulations and restrictions you put on what people can and can't do with their homes, the less flexibility there is for that oddball, or, I mean, these are good examples, I think, today.
But that's why they come to us, is for the
Yeah.
oddball. But what he's saying is, when, in situations where they're not coming to us, he's running into neighbors suddenly,
Or, for instance, the 3 Lincoln Drive, where we really could have said, we want a grading plan, and we want an actual elevation of what it's really gonna look like instead of this recycled thing. We could have said that.
maybe we should have, but,
Well, I know, I'm not sure we should have, but
I mean,
I'm
that-
just saying,
but
It
it's just,
also
you
might
get,
be-
you get burdensome
yeah.
to people. I don't,
Maybe, no, but that's not a bad idea. Maybe we want to resurrect the submittal requirements,
Right.
because we've gotten lax on those. And that wouldn't be burdensome if people had a real solid list of what they need to bring the first meeting. We wouldn't have to be continuing the meetings, they'd have it with them the first time.
I would like to talk to the planning board and ask the planning board to look at this. To me, this makes sense.
Well, let's
And if
agenda
we're-
it for another meeting here when we have a full board. And then it has to go to the planning board if this board chooses and votes to do that. You can go to the planning board without it, you can go as a citizen and do it too, so it doesn't really matter. I'd like to have Roland attend the meeting and tell us his thoughts on it, is what I'd like to do.
Because he's getting the complaints.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's stuff over there.
Can I make a motion to adjourn?
I
Yes,
second the motion.
second, all those in favor?
Aye.